Have you ever just stopped and looked around at the room you're in? I mean, really looked at it. The walls, the ceiling, where the windows are placed, all of it. It feels so permanent, so real. But you know what? Every single bit of it started as just an idea in someone's head. So how in the world does a simple thought turn into the physical building you're sitting in right now? Well, it's a fascinating journey. And in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on that secret process.
So, here's the plan for our little adventure. We're going to see how it's about so much more than just bricks and mortar. We'll follow the roadmap designers use, starting with that initial spark of a vision. Then we'll face something I like to call the reality gauntlet, see how a final design is crafted from all that chaos, and wrap it all up with why getting this right matters so much.
You see, every building is basically a giant, complex puzzle. It's this constant tug-of-war between a brilliant creative vision on one side and a whole bunch of real-world rules and limitations on the other. If you solve that puzzle correctly, you get a space that just works. It feels right. But if you get it wrong, that's when you end up with a building that's a costly, frustrating nightmare.
And that's no exaggeration. I mean, think about it. The layout of your office can literally make you more or less productive. The amount of light in your home can affect your mood. A well-designed hospital can actually help people heal faster. These spaces we live and work in, they quietly shape our lives every single day. Okay, so how do designers possibly manage all this complexity? It's not like they just grab a napkin and start sketching their masterpiece, right? No way. They need a plan, a roadmap to guide them. And one of the gold standards for this is the RIBA plan of work. Think of it as a step-by-step playbook for turning a vague idea into a solid, buildable reality.
And here's the journey, pretty much in a nutshell. It all kicks off with a conversation, right? The brief. Then you move into the concept. That's the big idea, the bird's eye view. From there, it's all about adding more and more detail, like zooming in. The concept gets refined into a developed design, and then that gets drilled down into a technical design that's so incredibly precise, it tells the builders where every single screw is supposed to go.
But let's back up, because before any of that, it all starts with a dream. A client comes along with a vision, a specific need they have. And the absolute first job of the designer, the most important one really, is just to listen, to really truly understand what the client wants before a single line ever gets drawn. So just imagine a client wants a new headquarters. They're not just thinking about a place to put desks, they're thinking bigger. What's the company's brand? How can the space encourage teamwork? What about their green energy goals? This is that blue sky thinking stage, imagining the absolute perfect building, if there were no limits at all.
But having that beautiful vision is just step one. Now comes the really hard part, slamming that dream into the wall of reality.
And this is what I call the reality gauntlet. It's this whole series of intense, real-world challenges that every single design idea has to run through. If the idea survives the gauntlet, then, and only then, can it even be considered for construction. This slide just nails that core conflict, doesn't it? On one side, you have the client's dream. On the other, you have the cold, hard facts of the real world. A designer's entire job is basically to solve this puzzle, to navigate this constant back and forth between what's wanted and what's actually possible. So first up in the gauntlet, the site itself. You can't just build anywhere. Is the ground even stable enough? Are there water pipes or subway lines running underneath? What about that big old oak tree in the corner? Basically, the land itself sets the first set of rules, and you have absolutely no choice but to play by them. Next up, you hit a literal mountain of red tape. You've got planning laws, building codes, fire safety rules, accessibility standards for people with disabilities. It is a dizzying, overwhelming list of regulations, and you have to follow every single one. There are no shortcuts here. And just when you think you're through, you've got all these external pressures. What are the neighbors going to think? Is the site in a flood zone? What about the local wildlife? And then, of course, the biggest question of all, the one that can kill any project dead in its tracks, can we actually afford to build this thing? Okay, so this is where the real magic happens. A truly great designer takes all of these conflicting things, the client's beautiful dream and that entire brutal reality gauntlet, and somehow weaves them all together into one single elegant solution. It's not about giving up because of the constraints, it's about using those constraints to spark even more creativity. So you see, a final design plan isn't just a pretty picture. It's a story. It's the story of 100 problems that were solved. It's a story of compromises and clever workarounds. It's the story of a vision that was brought to life against some pretty serious odds. Every single line on that blueprint represents a decision that had to be justified and defended.
So why? Why go through all this trouble with all these frustrations and challenges? Why is this intense process so absolutely, fundamentally essential?
Well, our source material points out that it takes about 120 hours of guided learning just to get a handle on these basic principles. And that number, right there, that tells you everything you need to know about how complex this all is. Getting it right is crucial because the stakes, we're talking money, people's safety, and the health of our planet, are just incredibly high. Because at the end of the day, good design is about so much more than making things look nice. It's what prevents massive, costly mistakes. It's what makes sure our buildings are safe and actually do the job they're supposed to do. It's how we balance what we need as humans with our responsibility to the environment. Ultimately, it's what creates the very spaces that define the quality of our lives. So, here's my challenge to you. The next time you walk through a doorway, any doorway, I want you to pause and just look around with these new eyes. Try to see the hidden story. Look for the evidence of a challenge that was overcome or a clever solution to a tricky problem. I promise you, once you start seeing the stories in the walls, you will never look at a building the same way again.